Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel, and I hope you like that intro, that audio intro. There will be another outro at the end of the video. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, and hope you all have a Happy New Year. And today is going to be a little bit of a different video. I'm going to start a series of videos where I'm ranking metal bands' albums, all their albums, and in a tier list similar to what I'm doing with my own songs. And so, because I really love hard rock and metal music, so I just thought it was a good idea to start this series of videos and do this stuff. So, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like the intro, and I hope you will like the outro at the end. And today, we're gonna be ranking the all the Five Finger Death Punch albums, all 9 of their studio albums, in a tier list. And the way that this is gonna work is the same way that it kind of works for my songs. We're gonna have an awesome tier, a good tier, a mid tier, and a not so good tier. So it's the same way as my songs. And yeah, let's get into it. I just want to say that Five Finger Death Punch is one of my favorite bands, so there's probably not going to be any bad albums that we'll have to worry about, but it'll still be a good tier list. And so let's start with their debut studio album, which is The Way of the Fist, released in 2007. This album, it's an alright album. It's their first album. The production is alright on it. There's a lot of, heavier songs on this album because Five Finger Death Punch, they're still trying to figure out their sound. And yeah, this is the only album with the guitarist Daryl Roberts. But yeah, I like the title track, The Way of the Fist. I like The Bleeding. The Bleeding is one of my favorite. I don't know if I would necessarily call it a ballad, but because there are some, like, the slow parts of the verses and the heavier parts of the chorus. So, but I think that it's a good slower song for this album. White Knuckles is a very good song. I like Can't Heal You, Stranger Than Fiction, Never Enough. There's a lot of good songs on this album. So I think if the production was better and stuff, I would probably put this in. I think I would put this in the good tier, but I think I'm gonna put this in mid. Cause yeah, again, it's a good album, but they haven't established their sound yet, and there's better stuff that are coming up in later albums that I'll mention. So yeah, mid tier, first album, The Way of the Fist by Five Finger Death Punch. Next, we have War is the Answer, released in 2009. And my gosh, they upped the production value. This is Jason Hook's first album. It's a great album. Like, it's kind of still, has the sound of the Way of the Fist with songs like Dying Breed, Bulletproof. But we also have ballads like Far From Home. And then we also had the instrumental, Candle 34. I also like the last track too, which is the title track, War is the Answer. It's an awesome sounding album. Again, there's still a lot of heavier stuff that you expect from the old Def Punch, but there is, a lot of, this is where they're kind of have a couple slower songs on the album as well. But I think that, honestly, I think I'm going to put this in awesome. I'm putting this in awesome. It's just such a great album. This is where they up the production value. This is where there are a lot of great heavy songs. Also, like Falling in Hate, Dying Breed, like which I mentioned, Bulletproof. But there's also a lot of like more slower and mid-tempo songs like Hard to See, Crossing Over. It's just an awesome album, man. I'm putting this in the awesome tier. Yeah. And the next album, is American Capitalist, released in 2011. And I like this album. This is a great album. This is Chris Cale's first album, which I actually got to personally meet him backstage a month ago. We went to a Five Finger Death Punch concert, and I got to actually personally meet this dude backstage, and I got a vest from him signed. He also signed my flag, a Five Finger Death Punch flag that we bought at the show too. And he's just an all-around cool dude. But this is Chris Cale's first album with the band. Again, they're kind of figuring out their sound here. They have like heavier songs like American Capitalist, 100 Ways to Hate, Under and Over It. But they also have like lighter and mid-tempo stuff too, like Coming Down, Remember Everything, Wicked Ways. I guess I would count that as a mid-tempo song. But it's a good album. I would put it in the good tier. I'm putting it in the good tier. It's not as awesome. I don't think that it's as awesome as War's the Answer, but I feel like it's still a good album, and there's still like a bunch of heavier stuff mixed with some lighter stuff in the songs. So good tier for this album. So next, we have The Wrong Side of Heaven and The Righteous Side of Hell, Volume 1, released in the summer of 2013. And this is a great album. This is like some of the best Death Punch stuff that I've heard. We, of course, got slower stuff like The Wrong Side of Heaven, the title track. We also got like metal and heavier stuff like I Am Sin, Dot Your Eyes. And then we also got stuff that, I like the lyrics from, like, Anywhere But Here and a song and songs like that. I really think that it was a great idea for them to, like, have guest vocalists on this album too. Like they have like Rod Halford, Tech Nine for a cover of "Mama Say Knock You Out." Maria Brink from "In This Moment" for "Anywhere But Here." Max Cavalera from Sepultura and Soulfly for "I Am Sin." Awesome drums for songs like "Anywhere But Here" and "Watch You Bleed," and awesome guitar work too from Jason Hook and Zoltan. But all around, this is an awesome album. I'm putting it in the awesome tier, and I'm choosing between which one is like the best album from War's the Answer to Volume 1 of Wrong Side of Heaven and Righteous Side of Hell. I'm choosing because they both sound good, but I feel like that with Wrong Side of Heaven and Righteous Side of Hell Volume 1, like, they've kind of established their sound more, and they have had their style for a while, and they've kind of gotten a little more technical, and I don't get why people like hate this band, because a lot of their older material is good stuff. If you go back and listen to the older Death Punch, like I just mentioned, you like, for the people that hate this band, it's actually good material if you go back and like listen to it. But yeah, anyway, I'm giving The Wrong Side of Heaven and the Righteous Side of Hell Volume 1. Awesome. Just like War's the Answer. And yeah, let's move on to Wrong Side of Heaven and the Righteous Side of Hell Volume 2, released later that year, the same year, 2013. And me personally, it still kind of sounds the same as Volume 1, but I just really think that Volume 1 was way better than Volume 2. Like, again, there's still some good songs on here, like Cradle to the Grave, Battleborn, the instrumental Agony of Regret, Control, Matter of Time. Like, Matter of Time is actually such a good song. I like that song. Or not Control. Let This Go. Let This Go is also a good song. But I like a Matter of Time. Like, I like these songs. Like, I feel like one of my favorite songs though off this album is Weight Beneath My Sin. That's a good song. I like Matter of Time. Like, I like the stuff off this album, but I feel like that Volume 1 is just, I feel like they got like more technical with the guitar and drum work. And I feel like that the music was better in Volume 1. So I'm putting Volume 2 in the Wrong Side of Heaven and the Righteous Side of Hell, Volume 2 in the good tier. So yeah. Next we got Your Six, released in 2015. And this is where Death Punch kind of establishes their new sound that they're going for. And this is when they kind of start to move away from their older, heavier sound and they kind of start to go for a more lighter sound, which there's still like a few heavy songs on this album, like Ain't My Last Dance, and No Sudden Movement, and songs like that. But I feel like that this is where they're going, lighter in their sound and heavier, and not, doing all their heavier sound all that much. I like the lyrics in some of the songs on this album. Like in Got Your Six, Wash It All Away is a really great song, even though that it's overplayed so much. Like, even though that it's like one of their biggest songs, it's still a great song. Jekyll and Hyde is a good song. Like, all these songs are good songs. I just feel like that there wasn't enough heavy material, and there was more lighter material. And that's why I think a lot of people hate the band's new material, because they say that the lyrics are more bland and that the music is not heavy enough, but I kind of like the lyrics on these albums, and on albums that I'll mention later. But yeah, I feel like I would put this maybe in the good tier. Yeah, in the good tier. So yeah, Got Your Sixes going in the good tier, because I like, a lot of the songs. I just feel like that there should have been. I just kind of like the older sound musically when it comes to Death Punch, but I do like the lyrics on these new albums. And so next up, we got And Justice for None, released in 2018, and this album, it's kind of, building, it's kind of building up what Got Your Six did, and the lighter sound of stuff. Of course, we got two covers on this album, which are pretty famous now. We got Gone Away and Blue on Black, which when it comes to Gone Away, I kind of like... I like the Five Finger Death Punch version of the song, but I like the original Offspring version of the song better. Like, the Five Finger Death Punch version is a good version of the song, but I think I just like the original. I just like the original. But we also got great mid-tempo and light stuff on this album that I like the lyrics of. Like, I Refuse is a very good song. Stuck in My Ways is a very good song. And then we also got, like, heavier songs like Rock Bottom and Trouble, which the weird thing about that song is that was, like, released... that was released as a single before the album came out, but that song is a bonus track on the actual album, which is weird. I don't know why that would happen like that, but it's weird how it's just a bonus track, but it was actually a single before the album came out. But yeah, I like that song. Again, there's a lot of, like, there was only, like, one or two heavy songs, like Rock Bottom, and a lot of the songs were lighter stuff, which I like the lyrics of, but I just musically, I just don't. I'm not feeling this one, man. So I'm putting this in mid. Because again, I like a lot of the ballads, like I Refuse, but there could have been a little more heavy material on it too. Instead of always just having light material. But I do like the slower stuff. Next, we got F8. And I really like this album. Even some of my other friends that have listened to this album, they really think that it's a great album. I like that, heavier tracks like Inside Out, Full Circle, A Little Bit Off, which is a lighter track. I like the music video for that song. Living the Dream, mid-tempo. Then we also got like This Is War, which is a very, very heavy song. Bottom of the Top, Mother May I TikTok, Scar Tissue. Like we got like heavier songs, but we also got the new sound too, from Got Your Six and Injustice for None, which I like. It's kind of a blend of, that material, and that's why I think that, people think that this is their favorite Five Finger Death Punch record, is because it has all the heavy metal stuff, old heavy stuff from like War's the Answer, and even from Wrong Side of Heaven and Righteous Side of Hell Volume 1, but it also has the newer stuff from the newer sound from Got Your Six and Injustice for None, and so it's, it kind of blends that stuff. This is also when Jeremy Spencer, their drummer, left the band, was replaced by Charlie Engine. And I think that Charlie does a pretty good job on this album. This is his first album with the band, and yeah. So yeah, I think I would put this in the awesome tier. I'm gonna put this in the awesome tier. So, great album. Like, it blends that older sound with the newer sound, and that's why I think that a lot of people think this is my favorite. Think this is their favorite Death Punch record, and believe it or not, I feel like this is close to my favorite Death Punch record too, because the way that it just works. And before we actually move on to their actual 9th studio album, I just wanted to mention Decade of Destruction Volume 2. And the only reason that I'm mentioning this album is because it has the Decade of Destruction albums were their greatest hits albums, which has Trouble on it, and it has like all their like greatest hits and stuff from the albums. But the only reason that I'm even mentioning this is because there is one song that is an original song from that album called Broken World, which is Andy James' first song with the band. That's when Jason Hook left the band and Andy James joined. And he's phenomenal. He's a great guitarist. He's a great shredder. But yeah, Broken World just, shows his chops. It's his first song with the band, and I just wanted to mention it. It's a heavy song, and for the verses, Chris Cale actually does the vocals for the verses of that song, so that's why it kind of sounds different. It sounds like death metal-y. And yeah, I actually like the song. It's a great song, but I just I'm not ranking this album in any tier or anything, but I just wanted to mention it because it had that one original song on it. Just because, well, why not? And then, yeah. So finally, we got Afterlife, which was released this year, in 2022, which is almost finished, by the way. So hope you guys have a nice 2023, and yeah. So anyway, I love the lyrical message on this album. I like songs like Judgment Day, All I Know, Thanks for Asking, the title track Afterlife. I like that there was a big emphasis on God when it came to this album, and you know, and the lyrical message with this album. I like, when it comes musically, I like the electronic sounds. I like the electronic elements of Judgment Day. I like that Thanks for Asking is kind of acoustic, but it has that rock sound to it. All I Know is a great ballad. And then we also got a little bit of heavier stuff like Gold Gutter, Roll Them Bones, Blood and Tar, and then the last track on the record, The End. Such a great song. And I was watching some interviews with like Zoltan, and he was saying how that this album kind of felt like a concept album, and it kind of does. Like, it still has that original sound of Death Punch that everyone knows, but it also, it also has a new sound that is kind of being added in tracks like, Judgment Day and Thanks for Asking, which kind of actually sounds cool. It's a cool sound. I like that they're exploring like different like electronic elements in this album, different like concepts and stuff. But they're also keeping it their original sound. But musically, I don't know. I don't really think this is their best album. And they're also, exploring industrial with songs like, which is like one of my favorites, Welcome to the Circus. The first song that opens up with this album, banger. But other than that, musically, I like the lyrics, but I like that they're exploring with sounds. But musically, I don't really think this is the best Five Finger Death Punch record. But it's still a good album, so I'm gonna put it in good. It's still a good album lyrically. I love the lyric messages and the emphasis on God and all that stuff, like in tracks like Judgment Day and Afterlife. And I like that the electronic sounds and Judgment Day and all that stuff. But I think that there is better Death Punch sounding records with their sound that we all know and love. But it's still a good record, so I'm putting it in the good tier. And yeah, I have ranked all of the Five Finger Death Punch albums and put them in a tier list. And I'm gonna do this with other bands too. I'm gonna start off with bands that I've definitely listened to and that, I know the material first. And then I'm gonna go to, bands that I would need to listen to their albums more to know. So that's how these are gonna work. And I might do these more since, I'm working on my second album. Which is gonna actually include the song, an extended version of the song that I used in the intro. So yeah, So when I'm working on that, I'll be uploading more of this, type of content and stuff. So, which, I got, I have, some, tech tutorials and more of these metal band album tier lists coming up, and other content for you guys while I'm making the Boss Fight album, which is my second album, and making some of the standalones, which I'll upload too. But yeah, again, I won't be uploading much when I'm doing the Boss Fight album and stuff, besides other content and standalones. But I won't be uploading that many songs. Like, I'll be releasing one like every 2 weeks until I decided the album's finished, and then I can put it out. But other than that, I won't be uploading a bunch of songs at once like I usually do. I'll be focusing on this other content and a couple of standalones. But yeah, just wanted to mention that at the end of the video. And I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas, and I hope you guys have a happy New Year. And like the video, give the video the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and see you guys in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye.